Hey baby, this is Daddy. Sorry it took so long for me to do your story. I have so much wrong with my webcam. I love you, miss you, and the story I'm gonna read you is called. I don't know if you can see it too good. It's called "The Six Swans." There go the swans right there. You see? All right. And in a land far, far, far away, there once lived a king with his six sons and a daughter. His children wanted for nothing in life. They studied with the best teachers, ate the finest food, and wore only the most magnificent clothes. But one day, but one day, the king married again. Unfortunately, the new queen was an angry, bitter woman who hated her stepchildren on the first sight. She decided to get rid of all of them. First, she sent the young princess away to live in the country, and not long after, cast an evil spell on the young princess that turned them into six perfect white swans. Go, she told them, fly far from here and find somewhere else to live. When she was 16, the princess was brought back to live in the palace. When the queen saw how beautiful the princess had become, the queen became so jealous she smeared the poor girl's skin with walnut juice, tore her dress, and made her hair look wild and tangled. Look at this peasant girl, cried the queen, dragging the princess by the hair to the king. See how disgusting she looks? How can she be a king's daughter? That was mean, huh, Wop? That's not nice at all. Okay. The confused king agreed with his wife that the 50 girls standing in front of him could not possibly be his daughter, and he ordered her to leave the palace at once. The princess walked into the nearby woods, where she found a stream to bathe herself and wash away the foul walnut juice. She felt so lonely and sad she began to cry. She longed to see her brothers again, but had no idea where to find them. As the sun began to set and the lightness of the day turned into the darkness of the night, she looked up and saw six swans flying towards her. She, they flew lower and lower until they landed close to where the princess stood. Then something strange happened. The swans began to change shape, shedding their feathers and turning into human form. With a gasp of astonishment, the princess realized that the six swans had turned into her six long lost brothers. The princess The princess told her sister, the princess told her sister that ever since they had been turned into wild swans, they had lived in that far-off land across the sea. They came back to their homeland only once a year to fly over the palace where they were born. They also told her that although they were swans in the daylight, as soon as night fell, they turned back into human form again. At dawn, we will change into swans and fly back to the land where we live. Will you come with us? They asked their sister. I will, the princess replied. You are my brothers whom I love dearly. I never want to be parted from you again. So look, there go her and her brothers. You see? I don't know if you can see it too good. There go her and her brothers. See? That evening, the princess worked hard, building a net of vine and willow bark that would carry the princess. At first light, they turned back into swans and soared into the sky, bearing the weight of their sisters between them. They flew for many hours without rest. The only thing the princess saw was the glittering sea below. But as the day drew to its end and there were no signs of land, she began to worry. It would soon be dark, she thought. If we don't find land soon, my brothers will turn back into human form again. We will all fall into the sea and drown. Shortly after, to her immense relief, the princess saw land in the distance. Leaving the sea behind them, the swans set her down gently in the leafy forest glade. They turned back into the princess again as soon as their feet touched the ground. Welcome to your new home, they said happily. That night the princess had a dream. She dreamed that a wise old woman told her that her brothers could be freed and remain human if they were to collect a special nettle that grew in the forest. She had to weave the nettles into six magic cloaks which would be put around her brother's shoulders. Once they was done, the evil spell would be broken. But the old woman warned the princess she must not speak until the cloaks were finished. If she uttered just one word, the cloaks would not work their magic. Early the next morning, convinced that the dream was an omen, the princess started to gather the special nettles. The nettles is kind of like little, kind of like leaves or plants. Later that day, the king of the land was out hunting and noticed the princess picking her nettles. He thought she was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. "Who are you?" he asked. But remembering the old lady's words, the princess remained silent. The king was so enraptured by this beautiful mute girl, he noticed to take her back to his palace with him and make her his queen. The whole country celebrated on the day of the marriage. Everyone dared except the king's archbishop, who believed that the princess was really a witch at the forest who had tricked the king into marrying her. "Of course she's a witch," said the archbishop. Thought to himself, "That's why she won't speak to anyone." After she was married, the princess continued her work on the magic cloaks in secret. One day, she ran out of the special nettles. That night, she stole out of the palace and made her way to the forest, where she began to collect more. Unbeknown to her, the suspicious archbishop had followed her. He rushed back to the king and told him what he had seen. "I knew it all along," cried the archbishop. "This girl is collecting nettles to use in magic potions. She is a witch. She must be burned at the stake." When faced with this charge, the princess, as ever did not speak a word. The poor king loved his wife dearly, but in the face of the archbishop's evidence, had little choice. With a heavy heart, he ordered that she must be undergo witch punishment and be burned at the stake. That's not nice. The princess was dragged to the cells, and 1 week later was taken by a cart to the palace of execution. As the cart made its way, through the cobble streets, the princess worked furiously on the last of the special clothes as she neared the dreaded stake. There was a murmur from the crowd as the 6 beautiful swans flew down and sat at the unlit bonfire. "This is an omen," some of the people whispered. "This surely means that our queen is innocent." As the executioner watched for her hand to lead her up to the stake, the princess quickly gathered up her nettle cloaks, jumped from the cart, and threw them over the 6 swans. At once, the swans changed into the 6 handsome princes. At last, they were free from the curse. They would never change into swans again. Now that my brothers are free, I can speak my love," said the princess to the king. When she told him the story of her stepmother's curse, the kind king wept pity for him. "I nearly made a dreadful mistake," he said. "You and your brothers have shown much courage. I hope you will lead happier lives from now on. The princess will always have my protection while they live in this land." The brothers built palaces for themselves in the royal palace. They visited their sister often and lived happily for the rest of their lives. The end. Okay. Now, I hope you enjoyed that story. Well, I love you. Daddy miss you. Good night. And kiss, kiss. And I'll talk to you soon. And then the next story I'm going to read you is The Princess and the Pea. Okay? Alright, love you. Good night, baby.